Yeah, good morning, all of you. Am I audible to everyone? Anyone of you please respond. Am I audible? Okay, okay. Thank you. So in the last class, you might have experience with different functionalities of operating system, and even the history of operating system is covered in the last class. Is it right? So in our today's class, we will discuss about various types of operating systems and their functionalities, advantages, and as well as disadvantages, so that you will gain knowledge, the development in the operating systems, and in future, you're supposed to think how to develop a new kind of operating systems and their design goals. Okay. Now, the first one is simple batch operating system. So initial days, people are using this kind of operating system where the programmer has to submit whatever the jobs that he is having. Say, for example, one of your student may develop C program, and someone may develop C++ program, okay, and someone may develop Java program. All these three programs will be submitted to the operator. Operator means the person who is taking care of executing your jobs in the computer system. Okay. So, like that, all these programmers has to submit their uh, jobs to the operator. The operator will take care of executing your softwares, I mean, your jobs in the computer system. Because in the olden days, the systems are large in size and they are located in different rooms. You might have observed in the diagrams what way the system was constructed in the olden days, right? So what the operator has to do while executing your applications is first he need to consolidate all your jobs based on the similarity. For example, 10 jobs have submitted. Out of 10, 4 are written in C language, 4 programs are written in C language, 2 programs are written in C++, etc., etc., etc. So after segregating all these things as batch wise, that means all the 6 programs, of course, the programs may be developed by different programmers. Okay. So all these first programmers make it as a batch, and that batch will be submitted to the system, and it produces the results one after another. In such a way, what happens is the advantage which we get here is all because we need to load while executing your C program, we need to load the compiler. Okay, C compiler. Instead of submitting all your C programs at a time, if you submit it one after another, for example, first C program has developed. So in order to execute your program, what we have to do? We need to load the C compiler for the execution. After that, if you try to execute the C++, what happens? So you need to load the C++ compiler for Java. So each and every time when you're running a new job, you are supposed to execute load the compilers for the execution of your program. So it is very difficult, and even it is a time-consuming process in order to execute your jobs. So that is the reason people have think in a different direction. Like instead of giving the jobs as an individual, why can't we submit as a batch so that instead of loading n number of times the compiler, if you load only one time, so that all these jobs gets executed and the results are produced. So once all the jobs related to a particular thing is executed, then we'll go to the next kind of batch. Like that, we are able to minimize the or efficiently utilize the resources, minimize the waiting time, and will improve the efficiency of our system. Okay, so that is what exactly the batch operating system. Hope you are all clear, or still if you have any query. What exactly the batch operating system? What kind of execution is going on in the simple batch OS? Is it clear? Anyone of you? Yes, you can unmute yourself or you can drop the message. Because I am unable to view. I am unable to see whether you understood or not in your faces. So that is the reason why I'm asking whether you understood it or not. Simple batch operating system is clear to you or not? Definition part. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Adapt. And now, then what is the problem with this? Let us try to understand. Up to now, we have discussed the advantage of operating system because that is the facility which is available at that moment. But now, nowadays, we are all working with modern operating systems. So we may not face that kind of problems. But at the initial time of development of the computer system, people are suffering with lack of resources, lack of available resources. So that is the reason at that moment it is a great achievement. Probably it may not be an achievement at this moment, but at that moment it is a great achievement, right? So what kind of problems that we can face if you are supposed to use a batch operating system is, the first one is lack of interaction between the user and the job. Because user means the programmer simply has to submit the job to the operator, not the system. Just will submit a person, a supervisor. Just will submit your job to the supervisor. Supervisor will take care of executing your job in the computer system physically. Okay. So in that case, the programmer is unable to trace what is happening, what kind of results there are. Of course, if he did not get a satisfied result, he need to re-execute. So these kind of things are not happen uh, because of there is no interaction between the user and the job. And another important point is here, one of the important burning issue here itself is CPU is often idle because the speed of mechanical I/O devices is slower than the CPU. So they take a lot of time to read the data. So, but whereas CPU, it is fast in computation. So this time gap, during this time, the CPU is idle. So whenever if you, our ultimate goal design, one of the important design goal is always make CPU as busy. Why? Whenever if it is busy means it is performing certain operations, certain tasks, it executes certain jobs. So while making your CPU as busy, you are able to execute more number of jobs so that your throughput gets increased. So that the number of tasks should be completed with less amount of time, right? And the last one is, it is difficult to provide the desired priority. Desired priority means all the jobs, irrespective of the emergency of the jobs, okay, based on the similarity, will the operator make them as a batch, and first batch 1 has submitted, and next batch 2, batch 3, like that the process is going on. Even though your job has placed in the 10th batch, okay, which is having high priority, also gets executed once it turn as comes. That means there is no differentiation that exists among the jobs as per only the priority or only the criteria in this batch OS is the similarity of the jobs. First, all the similar jobs will be executed. After that, individual one will be executed. For example, if your job is individual one, that means there is no similar kind of job is existed, submitted. Okay, in that case, you will get the your turn is the last one, because before you all the batches are gets executed. Is it clear? And the second one is multi-programming operating system. Just simply it is an extension to the batch operating system. So the intention of or the main design goal of this multi-programming operating system is make our CPU as busy. That means we need to submit more number of jobs to the CPU so that we'll execute the n number of jobs. Okay, so here in the multi-programming operating system, each process needs two types of system times. One is CPU time and IO time. That means the time it requires for the execution in the CPU and as well as the time it requires to utilize the IO devices. As I told you in the last class while explaining the functionalities of the operating system, what happens usually when you submit a job, okay, CPU starts execution of this job. First, it reads the first two lines of your program and it's executed. After that, if the third statement requires the services of the IO devices, what happens in that case? Immediately, CPU will redirect the execution of your third instruction from CPU to IO devices. Okay, there the IO device will perform something and it produces some output. After that, the control will return back to the fourth statement of the program. Then only the CPU starts its execution. During this period of time, that means after executing the second statement, before starting the execution of the fourth statement, okay, whatever the time that it took for the execution of the third statement, the CPU stays idle. Okay, so in order to avoid such kind of wastage of CPU time, what they did is instead of executing all the instructions as a single slot, they will divide two times. One is CPU time and another one is IO time. Okay. So in a multi-programming environment, the time process does its IO, the CPU can start the execution of other process. For example, once the job is allocated to the IO devices, temporarily CPU suspends the execution of the current program and it initiates the execution of the another process until completion of the first process IO execution. Once again, I'll repeat the same for the better understanding. Imagine that one job has submitted, two jobs have submitted. So the CPU has started executing the first job. It starts its execution. Assume that first two instructions are normal instruction. Third and fourth instructions are related to the IO device. For example, if you are talking about your C program, hash include stdio.h, void main, int open brackets int a comma b. So all these statements should be executed by the program itself, that means CPU itself. After that, if you write two statements, a printf, enter a comma b values, scanf, %d, ampersand a, ampersand b. That means where you want to read two values from the user. So in order to read those values, we need the services of the IO devices. Okay. So when you are using printf statement, the statement will be displayed on the screen. Screen is output device. Okay. Whatever the values that you have entered that need to be read using a keyboard, that is again, it is an input device, right? So that is what I mean to say services of IO devices. Okay. So let us assume that third and fourth statement needs the IO services of the IO devices. So what happens if you go with batch operating system, what happens? So until the completion of these two statements, it has to wait. CPU is sitting idle. Once those third and fourth statement gets executed, then it starts the execution of fifth statement. That is what happened in the batch processing system. So instead of doing like that, here what they did is they will assign for each job. Just a minute. Is it visible to you? Because just now I have closed some of the tabs which creates disturbance. Now is it visible to you? Okay, okay. All right. So, see, what multi-program operating system does is it assigns CPU time and IO time based on the instruction type. Okay. So, all the IO related instructions are assigned with IO time, whereas remaining things will be assigned with the CPU time. So whenever if the IO time or IO related or the instructions which requires the services of IO devices, okay, are assigned with IO time. Remaining all CPU time. Okay, so let us move back to the execution of the first job. First three statements are. Let us consider the same example for illustration of multi-programming wise. So what we assume, first three instructions are CPU time instructions, next two instructions are IO time instructions. So in the batch operating system, the CPU has to wait until the completion of IO time instructions for executing the CPU time instructions. Okay, but whereas in the multi-operating system, what happens is once the instruction 3 and instruction 4 are allocated to the IO time, what CPU does is it temporarily suspends this execution of the job 1 and it allows the next job for the execution. Instead of sitting idle, it allows the next job for the execution. Okay, so it starts execution of the second job. For example, the first instruction in the second job itself, it requires IO devices. Immediately, it was redirected to the IO device and temporarily it suspends the second job also, and then it allows the third job for the execution. Right? Once it was started the third job, there is a request came from the first job like I have completed IO instructions. So immediately it suspends the execution of the third job and it move back to the next statement of the first job. Next statement means fifth statement or fifth instruction or fifth line of the first program. So again, it continues the execution of the first job. So if there is no instruction requires the IO time in the first job, it completes its execution and it produces the results. And then if the second job has completed its IO time, then it initiates the execution of the second job. Otherwise, it will move back to the third job where it was suspended. Hope you are all clear this point or not. Because you may not observe all these things externally because nothing will be visible to you. But internally, it happens like that in order to make our CPU as busy. Hope you are all clear with this point or not. See, whenever if you have any query, immediately it is your responsibility to raise the query. Otherwise, I'll continue with the class. Each and every time stopping at a point and asking you may create a disturbance. Okay, so wherever you feel difficulty while understanding this, immediately you can raise your query. Okay. Okay, thank you. So here the intention or the objective of this multi-programming is to maximize the utilization of the processor. See, interchangeably we are using processor, sometimes CPU. Okay, don't be confused. Both of them are in our intention. Both of them are same. Here we are talking about how do we execute the job itself. Okay, right. Next one is very important, most important operating system, especially in the networking, is time sharing operating system or multitasking operating system. All of you listen this particular one very carefully so that you can understand what is happening in the networking OS. Okay, so up to now we have seen two different type of approaches. One is we'll submit the jobs as the batch wise, and we found majority of the cases CPU gets idle for majority of time. So in order to avoid it, we have developed a multi-programming operating system. Not we, the people in the olden days, they have developed some other approach where they will try to maximize the utilization of the processor in multi-programming approach. Okay, and now in the multi-programming approach, what happens? Suppose let us. I just want to tell you an important story here itself. Suppose four patients are waiting in a hospital for the appointment of doctor. Four patients are waiting in the hospital. Patient number 1, 2, 3, 4. Doctor is first patient is entering into the doctor's cabin. They were discussing something. During that time, all of a sudden, if a heart attack patient has arrived into the hospital, entered into the hospital. So what usually multi-operating system, what happens in that case? Multi-programming operating system, the heart attack patient is also be placed in the queue and he has to wait until his turn has come. Am I right or wrong? Okay. So what happens in that case? If he waits until the completion of the first 4 patients, probably he may not live. Because of it is a serious issue which it needs the immediate services of the processor. Here, doctor is nothing but a processor, and patients are nothing but your jobs. Okay, so whatever the emergency task that was arrived that need to be processed by the processor immediately. So, in the above two environments, there is no such kind of mechanism. And another important point here you are all supposed to analyze is, for example, if the second patient took 1.5 hour time for explanation, doctor, I have this problem, I have that problem, like that, he was explained, the doctor is asking the questions. So this discussion, assume that the discussion took 1.5 hour time. What happens in that case? What I mean to say is, whatever the jobs that are present in the queue, some of them may took more amount of time for the completion, more amount of time for the completion. If the job is large in size, probably it will take more amount of time to complete it. If the job is very small in size, suppose if your complaint is, sir, I am suffering with headache since from last night or 2 hours before, 2 hours back. Like that, if your problem is very simple, it may not take much more time. Simply, he wrote simple tablet, okay, go and get it, your problem will be resolved. So it won't take much more time. But whenever if you have a complicated problem, you need to explain it in a very clearly. The doctor has to understand all this thing, and whatever the queries that the doctor is having, that will be posed. So in order to complete the complicated task, it took a lot of time. What happens in that case? So here, what I mean to say is, here jobs are two types. One is the jobs which take less amount of time, the jobs which take huge amount of time, and medium. 3 categories. Okay. Okay, so whereas in the previous operating systems, all of them will be placed in a particular order. All the jobs will be executed, and there is no priority at all. So that is the reason what people have developed a new mechanism is, instead of executing one after another, why can't we allow, or why can't we assign a specific period of time to all jobs? For example, 10 patients are waiting. Okay, the doctor went to the first patient and he gave 20 minutes of time for each and every patient. Okay, so first patient was treated with 20 minutes. Suppose still, if the problem has solved, okay, no issue. Suppose if it was not solved, still it took much more time. Immediately, what happens? After completion of the 20 minutes, the doctor suspends the execution of the job temporarily and move to the second job. Second job starts, execution started. So it continues up to 20 minutes of time. If it was completed within the 20 minutes, no problem. If it is not, again, the second one is also be suspended, move to the third. Like that, the process will be completed. For example, in our case, we assumed that 10 jobs are present in it. So for each and every, first one will be allocated with 20 minutes, and the next it goes to the second, third, fourth, like that, 10th. After completion of the 10th, again it will be moved back to the first one, right? So that means fixed interval of time will be allocated to the each and every system. Where this kind of requirement is existed, why we need to have this kind of environment means, suppose now we are all started listening DBMS, where our database is located in our server, right? We are all executing our queries in the in our system. Even your C language, you have typed the command SSH space CSC 192.168.2.7, like that. You have specified an address, no? What is this address? Where your compiler and all are available. Okay, so in that case, all your 60 members or all your 100 members, all your 180 members are trying to access the single system at a time. Will it possible to execute all your 180 programs at the single shot? No, it is very difficult. Okay, so what kind of scenario it has to follow? Yes, there it will allocate time slots for all the jobs we have already submitted for a fixed interval of time. The user may not get, or the user may not aware of all these things, what is happening internally, but internally this kind of mechanism was adapted in order to execute the jobs. Okay, so that is what exactly time sharing or multitasking operating system. Okay, so let us. Yes, you're right. There is not priority based. As of now, we'll cover only how do we commit all the jobs gets executed without waiting for the huge amount of time or until completion of all other jobs. Okay, just we'll allocate the time, fixed interval of time for the all the jobs. As of now, we did not cover the priority. Suppose while executing this 10 jobs, if suppose the 11th job has arrived with high priority, there is no specific mechanism for this priority. It has to wait until in the queue until its turn has come. But what we have covered is, instead of executing the jobs in the serial fashion, of course, here also we will follow seriality, but we need not wait for the completion of all the jobs. Hope you clear with this point or not, or can I explain some other example? Yeah, is it clear? LE7. You can unmute. You can talk. No problem. What exactly your doubt? LE7, 507. Yeah, you can unmute yourself and you can talk. Is it clear to you? మీరు మైక్ ఆన్ చేసుకుని మాట్లాడొచ్చు, ప్రాబ్లం లేదు. Okay, just a minute. Now you just try now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good one. Yeah, so now your doubt has cleared or still you have a doubt?
Sir, clear, sir.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Now let us talk about the theoretical aspects of time sharing operating system. The time sharing is a technique which enables many people located at various terminals to use a particular computer system at the same time. As I told you, your compiler is present in the whatever the IP address that you have specified in that system, but we are all sitting in different systems and will try to execute our programs. Okay, even though all our 180 members have submitted their programs at the single time. Okay, all the 180 programs are executed in the time sharing mode. Okay, and time sharing or the multitasking is a logical extension of multi-programming operating system. Okay, and so what is the object of this time sharing operating system is we just minimize the response time. Minimize the response time. Response time means the time it took for processing or accepting your request. Okay. If I ask if I ask a particular question to you, right? Whatever the time that it took for your response, suppose if it took 1 minute of time to answer my question, so that is what we call it as a response time. Suppose if it took 5 minutes, suppose it took within less amount of time you are able to respond. Okay, so the response time here, by allocating the time slots to all the jobs, will minimize we cannot avoid, we'll minimize the response time. Even 10th job will also gets executed with a fixed interval of time, right? And multiple jobs are executed by the CPU by switching them between one and another, right? First job has started execution. After 20 minutes, it will be moved to the second job, third job, fourth job, like that 10th job. All the multiple jobs are getting executed, right? So the advantages of this time sharing operating system is it provides the advantage of quick response and it avoids the duplication of software. So in our execution of C program, what we have to do actually, 180 systems need to be installed with compilers in all the systems. Instead of loading your C program software in all the 180 systems, if we load it in a single system so that all 180 students make utilize the C software, right? So that what happens, we need not install 180 duplicate copies. Okay, and it reduces the CPU idle time because always the CPU is shifting from one job to another job, so that there is no wastage of idle time. And coming to the problems in the time sharing operating system is, first one is the reliability. there is no reliability. There is no guarantee that your data is confidentially transmitted from one place to another place, because all of us are connected on the network. Suppose if you are good in hacking, you may access the others' data while it is in the transmission. Okay, that is very important problem in the time sharing operating system. That is another problem. We were written in three different ways: reliability, security, and data communication. Okay. Now, coming to the personal OS, personal computer operating system. As in the olden days, the hardware or memory costs are very high. So, in order to decrease it, uh, if we are able to develop a single user operating system, not multi-user or multi-program, okay, neither multi-user nor multitasking, just simply it is a single user application. So in this time, what happens? Instead of maximizing the CPU and peripheral utilization, the system opts for maximizing the user convenience and responsiveness. So in this personal OS, user is having, because now I am using my computer system, you are using your systems. We are only one and only user of this system. So that is the reason there is no concept of all other things so far which we have discussed. Whatever the number of jobs, all the jobs are yours only. Okay, so all your jobs will be executed using your CPU, so that you will be feel more happy. So that is the reason why people have developed personal voice. That means single user operating system. Now, parallel operating system or multiprocessor operating system. So in the multiprocessing or parallel computing is achieved. Multiprocessing means we'll have more than one processor. What happens in that case? If we have more than one processor, so that both the processor gets assigned with two different jobs, so that the execution of the number of jobs will be completed with less amount of time. If you have only one, with that, suppose you are supposed to execute 10 jobs for within 10 minutes. If you have two processors, probably it may be reduced to 5 or maybe 4 minutes or maybe 3 minutes. Okay. So what happens in this case? These processes increases the throughput. Throughput means the number of jobs are completed in a minute. And even reliability of the system also, because all of them are executed in a same system with the two different processors, right? So usually there are two types of parallel OS. One is symmetric and asymmetric. Suppose if it is assigned with a specific task, each processor is assigned with a specific task, then it is asymmetric. Instead of specific task, if it uses the identical copy of the OS and then communicates with one another, is called as symmetric. That means both of them are executing the single task by communicating one with another, coordinating one with another to complete the task. So such kind of execution is called as symmetric. Okay, so this is about parallel or multiprocessor OS. Now, coming to the distributed OS. Now, this is the leading concept. Here you just try to understand the concept of distributed systems. Of course, our intention is we need to discuss OS, but the concept you're all supposed to understand. Right. Up to now, what we understood, either you may execute in an individual fashion or you may run all your jobs in a centralized manner. For example, you all are having email IDs. Okay. So for example, let me talk about Gmail. Where the Gmail server is available, we don't know. Maybe it is in Delhi, or maybe it is in America, or maybe it is in some other location. Not in your system where you have logged into your email, right? Am I right or wrong? So all our Gmail content will be stored in the Gmail server only. Wherever you log, whether it is in your mobile or in your system or in somewhere, wherever you logged into your mail, you will get the data from the server, or whatever you performed on your mail. Or, I mean, once you open your mail, whatever the operation that you can perform, all these things are reflected in your data, which is stored in the mail server, not yours. This kind of environment is called as client server environment. Only one server will allow multiple clients to access their data concurrently. Okay. So in the client server environment, what happens? All the resources are kept in a single system or centralized system. Thereby, it allows all the users to access. So no need of installing or no need of made availability of the resources at each and every user level will be avoided. Okay. So that is the era which was happened previously. Now what happens is, day by day, the number of requests that need to be processed by the mail server gets increased. That means olden days, only few people are having mail IDs. Like few people are having mobiles in 2000s or 1919 like that. But nowadays, everybody is having more than one mobile, or at least one mobile. Right? Now you just try to understand the traffic level. You just try to compare traffic level at 2000 and nowadays. So similarly here also, olden days people are having only few requirements. So that is the reason at that moment, even though majority of the clients made requests to the servers, server is able to process. But nowadays, for every nanosecond, billions of requests need to be processed by the server. So it becomes difficult task, even though if it is highly configured system, but even though it is a supercomputer, for each and everyone, there is a limitation. It is able to process only a specific number of jobs only. Right? So in order to avoid the overhead on it, what people have thought is, instead of executing or made available of all the resources at the centralized place, why can't we keep it in a different systems internally? For example, all Gmail IDs data are stored in the Gmail server, which is located in USA. The server which is available at US. So what happens in that case? All the Gmail users need to interact with that particular server only. So what the US server has to do is, instead of maintaining all the country's data in the single place, it made a separate server in India, which is able to process Indian requests. By default, you have submitted your request to the US server, but internally it was redirected to the India server, which is maintained by the US server, not by the Indian people. Okay, like that, it places different servers at different locations. In that case, instead of executing all the requests by this particular American server, it just distributed to the different places. But internally, it has to implement certain mechanism how it is supposed to be coordinated with all these different servers. How this job is going to be assigned, how the response has to be returned, and how it will be submitted to the user. Like that, all these things need to be, in order to supervise all these activities, it need to maintain certain specific mechanism. But still, that mechanism occupies less amount of time when compared with the processing all the requests at a single place. Okay, so this is what exactly the distributed environment. Okay, so in the next class, we will see elaborately the distributed operating systems by keeping this point in our brain. Hope you are all clear with this. Now you can ask if you have any queries. I'll allow you to unmute yourself. If anybody is having any query, you can ask. You're able to unmute yourself. You can switch on your mics. Any doubts? If anybody is having any doubt, you can ask. Okay. All right. Hope I think you're all clear with these instructions. So